Yo, what's up guys, I'm Fire here back with another video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys another video in Madden 22. This one's going to be about the best coach adjustments updated list that I like to use in Madden 22. So, coach adjustments are very interesting. I get a lot of questions about coach adjustments. Now, unfortunately, they're not in practice mode, which would make this video a lot easier. So we're going to hop into regs and just showcase some of the things I like to do with the different plays I run, and what I think the best for me are and the best for you are, the best coaching adjustments to run. So we're going to start out on offense. I'm going to go ahead and move my face cam so that you can actually see. But starting on offense, there's not too much to the offense. It's going to be a lot more complicated, mainly focused defensively, but we will, of course, address these things offensively. Now, we're pretty much going to disregard these two, deep pass catching, intermediate pass catching. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think I've ever adjusted these. It's weird stuff like AI receivers will attempt a possession catch. Weird stuff. You're going to click onto your receiver anyway and make the catch yourself. So, and then this, always trigger a rack attempt. Just weird stuff like this. Trust me, you're not going to want to adjust these. Leave these at balanced. It'll be normal. You don't want to mess around with those. Now, moving down, you got blocking. So blocking, I'm going to leave it on balance for the majority of the game. The only situation I would say adjust it is if you happen to be on the 1 yard line. If you're in the 1 yard line, you're in the goal line situation, that is a situation that I would consider turning blocking on aggressive, especially if let's say you get stood up 2 or 3 times at the goal line, you're at the 1 yard line, you're struggling to get in, he's getting sheds, you turn your blocking on aggressive for one play. Of course, if it's only on there for one play, you have a pretty low chance of getting a holding penalty. Of course, that's one of the cons down below right there, but yeah, man, it's a low chance. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. It's frustrating when you get a holding call when you turn it on for one play. It happens, but it definitely can be worth the risk if you're struggling to get in. So if you're at the 1 yard line, goal line, you can go blocking on aggressive. And that's kind of the same thing for ball carrier. Ball carrier, you can also go aggressive. Now, I don't fumble the ball too often in this game. The majority of my fumbles come from the quarterback position. Receivers, I rarely fumble. Running backs rarely fumble. So I'm going to leave it on balance. Now, if you're running any kind of a quarterback scramble style of an offense, that's where you're going to go conservative. If you're running a heavy pistol set, scrambling with Lamar Jackson, Kyler, Trey Lance, whoever, that's where you want to go in conservative. But generally, you're going to leave it on balance. That's going to allow you to do juke moves, allow you to do spin moves. Those definitely do help in the open field. Now again, if you're on the 1 yard line, you're struggling to get in, you want your running back to kind of fall forward. You see the pro, higher chance of triggering auto break tackles. That is one of those situations where you can turn your ball carrier on aggressive and you can go ahead, obviously break some tackles. You'll also get better fall forward animations. Once again, the odds of fumbling for the one play you go on aggressive and you're at the 1 yard line, rarely hit sticks are landed at the 1 yard line or inside the 5. So it's a pretty safe scenario to go on aggressive, and I've definitely noticed my running back carry, some defensive linemen to the end zone when I go on that. So you're at the 1 yard line, you're at the goal line, you can turn both these on aggressive. Again, sometimes, occasionally, you'll get holding calls. That happens. It's unfortunate, but, it is what it is. You have to deal with it, and you can't really complain. Now, if you want to play it safe, you don't really want to fumble with any of your players, you can go on conservative. That's going to disable the fact that you can, of course, do anything besides giving yourself up and covering the football. So you can't really juke, spin, truck, stiff arm, any of those things. Again, I usually just leave these all in balance. Again, mainly we're going to talk about defense, but this is going to be a look at all of your offensive stuff. Now let's go ahead and talk about the defense, which we're going to move our face cam back down. Now, defense is going to be the main thing, and we're going to start right from the top with auto flip. You're going to turn that bad boy on unless there is a specific blitz or play setup. In some of my defensive videos, you'll hear me say, turn auto flip off, and that's the situations where you will turn it off, mainly for like a nickel triple type of a blitz, but generally you're going to leave it on. It's going to help you out. You want, for example, if you're in a nickel set, you want your nickel cornerback, the guy on that left side, your nickel corner, your slot corner, you want him to match up with the slot receiver. You want things to look nice, and that's what you're going to do. Again, some play setups you'll watch will have auto flip off, but of course, the person who's running the video should tell you if you're going to have auto flip on or off. I know I always do, and if they don't say anything, you're just going to leave auto flip on generally. So again, I'm just going to leave auto flip on for the most part. It's just going to make your life easier, whereas sometimes you're going to have to flip. As far as auto alignment, I'm usually a baseline guy. I like this baseline adjustment. It definitely helps, especially if you're running nickel 2-4-5 odd. This will, again, save you one adjustment where you're going to have to press that triangle or Y button and push that left stick to the right side. Now that you're in baseline, you don't have to do that, and it's just going to save you some time. So I highly recommend that baseline adjustment. Ball and air defense, we are going to go with the play ball adjustment. Again, I don't really pay attention to these. It says the AI will play the ball in two-man catch situations, which means I think go for the pick. So we're going to go play ball. Again, you're going to be clicking onto one of those corners anyway, so if you just have the computer going for the pick and you going for the pick, should turn out pretty good. Again, play receiver. I actually haven't tried these. Back in the day, I used to have swap ball on, but it's better to go for the picks. You're not going to catch the pick anyway, so maybe the CPU can break it up or whatever. Cornerback matchups, make sure you do not adjust this. I've seen some bots do this. You can tell the lower level players sometimes when they run these, they will set it up by speed, by overall, whatever. And that's when you see those weird animations where sometimes there's just not a corner on the outside. Some of those weird situations. It's kind of difficult to explain, but sometimes they just get weird matchup assignments, or not necessarily, but what I mean is by motion. So I'm actually going to try and let's filter by overall. Let's run a two-man under. And I'm actually going to try out something with motion on offense here. And we set it, once again, by overall. And so, of course, we have Amari Cooper. We motion Amari Cooper over, and this is two-man under. And now you see there's nobody on Amari Cooper. It just kind of motions that. You don't want a linebacker on him. And you see there's now nobody on Zeke Elliott. So we have a corner over there. So definitely not something you want. I think that could have something to do with the fact that we were base aligned, potentially. So we might actually just snap the ball, run a play, and then actually run another play just to show what it looks like, maybe not base aligned. But you can see that you probably would want a defender on Zeke Elliott. So we're just going to try that out again. So we'll just run this play again. This is, of course, with auto flip or baseline off now. So now we're going to motion, and now you see sometimes it's going to follow. Generally, some weird stuff happens, especially if you're able to motion out like complete outside receiver. So maybe that would be a little bit better if we motioned Amari Cooper. But trust me, it just creates some weird things. You see sometimes the motion is a little bit odd. It's difficult to explain. It's not necessarily happening here, but trust me, sometimes it just happens. So generally, you just want to leave it off. Effect. Concerned. I don't know why I called a timeout, but moving on to the next adjustments, we are going to hop into our option defense. This is something that we're going to go ahead and set to conservative. So you're going to go ahead, set this to conservative. This is for the read options. You don't want the quarterback to get out. If he's going to hand the ball off, take his 3, 4, 5 yards, that's going to be fine. But if he's able to break out of your contain, you know what I'm saying, with his Lamar Jackson, he's going to pick up 30 plus yards, a lot of the time. So generally, it's just better to leave this on conservative, make your life a little bit easier, and that's exactly what we're going to go ahead and do. So we're going to set our option defense to conservative, and we're going to leave it on that for pretty much the entire game. Now, some of the option stuff can be weird. You see dive and pitch left open on the option. If they're going to pitch it back, they shouldn't get as big of a gain as they would with keeping their quarterback on a triple option scenario. So, generally, we're going to leave this on conservative. If he's maybe killing you with like a pitch, that's when you can adjust it, but for the most part, you're going to keep it on conservative. Now, moving on, we got strip, ball, and tackling. Maybe if you're in the last drive type situation, you might be able to take a chance on this. Let's say you haven't got a stop all game. You can't stop his offense. Let's just hope for that the computer can strip the ball. I'm fine with doing that. I'm personally just going to leave it on balance myself. I feel like that's the safer bet, and we're just going to, leave it on balance. So I'm just a balanced guy. Pretty much the same thing with tackling. You guys should be clicking on defensively to make your tackles anyway. And, of course, there's a lot of broken tackles and fake outs, especially with the computer in this game. So if you set it too aggressive, you're just going to get faked out, even more than you would normally. So this is another thing that I'm going to leave on balance. But now to the big point of these coach adjustments, why you are all here, and it's going to be the zone drops, which is the biggest part of coach adjustments. It's the biggest thing you need to know. And we're going to start out kind of play-by-play what I would do. Now, we're going to start out with the place where I'm going to leave everything default. We're not going to touch these, and that's going to be for 2 case scenarios. Usually, mainly it's going to be match coverage. So any kind of a match coverage, and those are going to include things like cover 4 quarters, as you see on the left there, cover 6, Even those plays like blitz 3, that's a match cover 3. You have those seam flat zones, that's a match cover 3. If you set zone drops, it's going to play like a normal cover 3. Cover 4 palms, of course, is going to be in that category. Again, you see some more cover 3 match, cover 6 invert for that cover 4 side, cover 9 show 2. And I'm going to show you what a cover 4 quarters looks like normally without our zone drop set. And then we're going to show if I set my flats to 20 or whatever. So we're just going to go ahead and run this play normally. Set up an adjustment like this. And you see, oh, everybody is matched on. Now Zeke Elliott's going to beat it because he has a slow linebacker on him and running back routes are unguardable in this game. But you see how everyone has an assignment. Now we're going to go ahead to our coach adjustments. We're going to set our flats to, let's go with like a 0-yard flat situation, just so it's obvious what you can see. We're going to go with like a wheel route. We're going to go, let's go wheel route. Let's go with a little out route over here, just so you guys can see a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and snap the ball, and now you see the flats were playing at that 0-yard depth. Now we got instant shedded into oblivion, but take a look at the quarter zone over here. It's going to be right here in the slot, and you notice he's just going to run to 0. So he's not matching on to anybody. He's sitting at the 0-yard depth, and you see we have a guy wide open right there in the middle of the field. Now, interesting enough, who is our quarter zone over here? I believe it was this Mike linebacker. I don't know why he's playing over there. That is weird. You would expect the other flat zone to play at 0-yard depth, but trust me, when you're running any match coverage, you're going to want to leave it at default. So this is going to be the situation where we leave our zone drops on default. Again, if you adjust these, you're not going to have match coverage, and you're just going to basically have a cover 4 drop. So generally leave this at default. Now, let's go into some situations where you would want to adjust these zone drops. And the first one's going to be kind of a 2-man under situation where you're putting any flat zone out there. So if you're running a 2-man under, let's, for example, set curl flats to about 20 yards. And we will once again let's just go with this cover 1 spy. So let's say he's able to beat you with any kind of a corner out concept. I don't really have any here, but we'll go with like a deeper out route, just for example. And here's a look at Gallup over there. So cover 1, let's say he is torching you with that. This would be a situation where I can set my curl flat to the depth that I'm getting beat heavily by. So if I'm getting beat deep on crossers, on deep posts, man beating routes, even slant routes, we can set this curl flat over there. Now we have a 20-yard zone depth, and I can use this guy on the running back. So now we snap the ball with Prescott, and you see you're going to have some extra help over there at that 20-yard mark. Now if it were that scenario where we're throwing an out route, probably not going to set it to 20 yards, might go 10, 15, but you guys see what these can do. So the majority of people who run 2-man under, again, zone drops aren't going to adjust your man coverage assignments as you would obviously expect. They're zone, not man. But if you throw some extra zones out there, that's where they can help. I also want to bring up the wording right there. You see it says overrides the drop depth for curl flat, quarter flat, and seam flat zones. Those are majority of the match. The reason that my cover 4 quarters was not doing it was because I guess I set it to flats instead of curl flats, which not a good idea. So I guess we'll hop it back into the cover 4 just because I'm an idiot and I don't know why I did that. But now we'll set our curl flats to 0 for this cover 4 quarters. We'll go ahead and use this guy. We'll just run stock dagger, and now you see he's going to sit at the 0-yard depth. That's a cover 4 quarter zone, and you see he is sitting on that. Of course, we threw a pick, so now we're going to have to probably move the camera again. Actually, maybe we don't, but yeah, that's pretty much what that means as far as the cover 4 match is all taken care of now. So we do have to move the camera again because I threw a pick, which I don't know why I did that, but it's fine. Going down onto some of the other things, we'll just call it play. Going down to some of the other things, you have, of course, curl flats. So if you're running a stock cover 3, you can set these curl flats to whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you the scenarios, some more scenarios where I run these at default, and it's going to be usually normal cover 2. I like running these normal cover 2 zones with these zones at default. If I'm running like a cover 3 cloud, I'm usually leaving them at default. I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to force them to kind of sit in one zone. If he's killing me low, that's where we can go with a double mabel setup, and we're going to show a double mabel scenario. But if I'm running cover 3 cloud, which we'll hop into here, cover 3 cloud, all I'm going to do is shade over the top, pinch my D-line, and I'm just running default zone drops. So we're going to snap the ball. These guys will play pretty dang well. You see the curl flat, he's going to take away the flat. When you don't adjust their zone drops, that's where they can kind of lurk down and start lurking down on things and start baiting your opponent into throwing things. They can go down from a deeper corner route and slant route and come down and make a play on the ball. So that is where I'm going to leave these at default cover 3 clouds. Now let's go to a stock cover 3 Mabel situation. So cover 3 Mabel, this is a situation where he's really he's killing you on the outside. So if he's killing you on the outside, you're going to go with curl flats at either 20 or 25 yards. I'm going to leave these at 20, and you're going to go flats 5. Now, I also want to mention that I don't generally adjust these hook zones. I'm generally leaving these hooks. Maybe if he's beating me down the seam, we could set the avert hook to a deeper depth. That's not necessarily a risk I would like to take, but that is certainly an option for you guys. But going back to the cover 3 Mabel, we have curl flats at 20, flats at 5. I'm sure you guys have heard that wording, and there's probably some of you that don't know what it means, so this is a good teaching moment for that as well. So cover 3 Mabel, now we have our curl flats playing deep. It's going to take away corner routes. It's going to take away crossing routes. Now, we want some hard flats. So we're going to put Parsons here in a hard flat. We're going to put Gregory here in a hard flat. So again, these guys are going to play at 5-yard depth, Gregory and Parsons. And then we're going to have Curse here and Jordan Lewis playing at 20-yard depth. So, for example, if we try to throw a deeper out route with Noah Fant here, for example, that's going to be defended. If we put Gordon on a little out route, that's going to be defended. And then Jerry Jeudy's drag is going to be defended. Now, when you're running double Mabel, it's going to generally be your user in the middle of the field because we're only rushing 3 and we still only have 1 user in the middle of the field, so we don't want to go down to a 2-man rush, but that is just something you're going to have to accept, and you're going to need a good user if you're running this style of defense, which I do mention usually in these types of videos. But we're going to snap the ball. We'll hop into the replay, but you see we're going to kind of lurk down on Y because that's our main assignment. But you see now everything is going to be defended very, very well. Taking a look at the instant replay, I want you guys to see Noah Fant's route first. You again, Curse here. He is playing 20 yards. Boom. Easily taken away. So that's where if people are killing you with crossers, deep posts, deep corners, that's the adjustment you're going to want to make. Micah Parsons, he's in a hard flat zone. We set him to 5 yards, and you see he's playing that drag route absolutely beautifully. Melvin Gordon, we have Randy Gregory coming from the defensive line, and he is defending that beautifully. Again, I like the 5-yard depths. I wouldn't go 0 because 0, you might even be able to like high ball over the top. So 5 yards is the sweet spot for me. Again, I usually go 20 on these curl flats, but even if he's running that verticals play with the super deep over route, that's maybe where you can even go 30 yards. But yeah, man, I feel like we have touched base on pretty much all these things with these coaching adjustments. I don't think I missed anything. I think I talked through pretty much all that I like to do and all the scenarios that I go with. So that's pretty much going to do for the video. If you enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.